Make America Healthy Again is a national movement with Americans from every walk of life. If somebody's just kind of walking by the TV and half looking at this, sit down. Human hair, duck feathers, pig hair.
You don't like a little hair on your pizza, Dr. Phil?
Is that just in microwave pizza or all pizza?
This is not food anymore.
What the hell are we talking about here?
We just have to switch the mindset and the lifestyle a little bit.
In one generation, we can completely wipe out this chronic disease epidemic. After watching this Merit TV special, you will never shop or look at food the same way again. I kid you not. Look, we all want to live longer, right? Yes! I certainly do. My age used to feel really old until like last year. We do want to feel better and we want to have more energy, but let's be honest, making the right choices about food can be confusing. And after watching this Merit TV special, you will never shop or look at food the same way again. I kid you not. So you need to take notes and pay attention. Some of you are going to run to your pantry and begin a massive purge. What you're about to see is that so much of the food we eat, so much of what we're feeding our families is killing us. That's why Merit TV has teamed up with American Values to make America healthy again. Seriously. Maha has become synonymous with my good friend RFK Jr., now the Secretary of Health and Human Services. But this is much bigger than RFK Jr. And ignore the headlines you may have seen because this is not about politics. Look, I don't know doodly squat about politics. I really don't. People think that I talk about it some, but I don't. I talk about cultural issues. I talk about family issues. I talk about the issues that you care about. And Make America Healthy Again is a national movement with Americans from every walk of life. And let me tell you, this country is built on families, and we need to make our families healthy again. And I am asking you to join us. It is important. Right now, our young people, 70% of them can't even qualify for military service. And it's not just because they're obese, it's because they're not healthy. I often begin my primetime episodes with hard-hitting facts, but we're going to do something different. I want you to pick up your phone. Everyone in the audience and everyone at home, go to merithealthquiz.com. There is a quiz. Answer those questions the best you can, and in a few minutes, we'll just see how you did. First, I sent Merit TV's health and wellness reporters Sonia Azad and Courtney Swan, an integrative nutritionist and host of the Real Foodology podcast, on a special mission. Visit growing families, raid their kitchens, and lead them towards better health. Check out their first stop.
Today we're doing a house call and we're gonna help a family discover hidden unhealthy ingredients lurking in their pantry. But first, we gotta get inside.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. We invited Courtney and Sonia into our home because we really just needed some more help.
This is so urgent for American families because these ingredients that they're putting in their bodies are harming them.
We're gonna start with chocolate syrup. The reason why is this actually says 0 sugar on it.
So generally when things are labeled as 0 sugar, that's usually a red flag that they're using artificial sweeteners. The ones that I see in here are ACE-K and sucralose. Sucralose is actually a genotoxin, meaning that it damages our DNA.
So I pulled this one specifically because of the vegetable oils that are listed. Corn, canola, and or soybean oil.
Why are they bad?
Seed oils are known as being inflammatory and they can cause a host of problems.
When you have chronic inflammation in the body, that's when you start seeing disease, like chronic disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. If you pick up a label and you read it and you go, I don't even know where I would buy some of these ingredients in the grocery store, that's a sign you should put it back on the shelf.
Okay. All right, we've got our next culprit here.
Oh man, I'm sad to see these go.
This is breadcrumbs, right? And then I look at some things like this. So corn syrup, experts believe that corn syrup is what is driving the obesity epidemic in this country. It's also connected to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is a form of fatty liver disease that we largely didn't see 50 years ago. Now we're seeing it in children at alarming rates.
It's crazy to think that there are added bad-for-you ingredients in breadcrumbs. Finding the bad stuff is half the job. The family still needs to eat, right? So Sonia and Courtney came back with some healthier replacements.
We went shopping and we found some healthier for you options to replace everything from your pantry. So I know you love a certain healthy cereal that shall not be named.
I do.
It's very high in something called glyphosate. Glyphosate is an herbicide that we're spraying on our crops and it's been linked to cancer. So this particular cereal I love. It is actually stamped glyphosate-free. I also got A2 organic milk is amazing. A2 is a type of dairy that more people are able to easily digest. There is a thought that people that are consuming dairy that doesn't come from A2 cows is why a lot of people are having so many issues with dairy. Okay, so we wanted to swap for your favorite creamy soup that we talked about earlier.
From my childhood.
Exactly. This is a cream of chicken soup, and when you look back at the ingredients of this, there's just real food ingredients that you would recognize. So similarly to what we talked about earlier, if you could technically make this at home, you could buy all these ingredients. So this is just a great swap. I would argue that it probably tastes pretty similar. So maybe give this one a go and see.
Absolutely.
I've always known that what I eat, she's eating, but Courtney and Sonia made it so easy to approach just how we look at a label.
One of the things you can ask yourself is this real food? Is this something that our ancestors have largely eaten since the dawn of time? That is a great guiding force in how people can navigate the grocery store more easily.
Okay, now that was kind of a cut down version, and you can watch more of Sonia and Courtney's house call on the Merit TV app, because I want you to have all the information you can possibly get. Thank you guys for being here.
Sure.
So what changes will you make in the food you buy?
Certainly the tips you guys gave me for shopping at home, at the grocery store, shopping the perimeters. And also one thing that one of y'all said yesterday was if you read the label and if you couldn't recreate this at home or you couldn't find this ingredient in the grocery store somewhere else, don't buy it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good rule, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people think that they're buying convenience, but they're really buying danger. Why is that?
Well, at what cost, right? Because I think a lot of people are not thinking about the long-term effects of this and how much more it's going to cost later down the line, not only in quality of life, but also in doctor bills, medications. When you're not taking care of your health like that, you're going to be forced to face your illness.
You know, and if somebody's just kind of walking by the TV and half looking at this, sit down. No, come back and sit down. I'll wait. All right, thank you. The fact is that the food that we're eating in this country is seriously making us sick. This is serious. We have a whole generation that is suffering from chronic disease simply because of the food we're eating. We have a serious epidemic of chronic disease among young people right now that can be wiped out in one generation if we will just stop eating what we're eating and start eating what we need to. And no, it's not more expensive. It's not more expensive. It's just eating this choice instead of that choice. And you're 6 months pregnant.
Yes.
You want to eat healthy so your baby can eat healthy.
That's right. We want to make choices that are going to make her have the best opportunity that she can have now and in the future. And, you know, we're going to look at all kinds of different things that we might do, making food at home with fresh ingredients that we learned about yesterday.
Now, this is your second child.
Yes.
And tragically, you lost your first child at the age of 3.
Yes. Her name was Louise, and there she is. She was so sweet. She was born with a genetic abnormality, and doctors actually told me she wasn't going to live very long at all. And she ended up being with us for 3 years. Once we found out about her diagnosis, we wanted to share the gospel with everybody. So she put us on a mission, and she She encouraged us to live our best lives spiritually and emotionally, and also physically, because that's what we're called to do. Our bodies are temples. Louise actually was fed a very healthy diet, and we know that that contributed to lengthening her life. Even though it was short, it was as long as we could make it based on the food that we gave her.
And every day was a bonus.
Oh my goodness, every day was such a gift, and that has really encouraged us to look at how we treat this child. And even though this child will not likely have the issues that Louise did, what we take away from her life is just that every day is a gift. And so we look back on her life with no regrets, and we want to do the same with this child, even though she won't have the same issues that Louise did. And a big part of that is feeding her food that will make her the best she can be.
Can I show you my socks, Dr. Phil?
Please.
They've got Louise on them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Father's Day present.
Yeah, that's keeping the memory alive.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Well, we certainly know why eating healthy is so important to your family. And coming up, we're going to measure your health IQ when we come back. Let's cut to the chase. Your savings could be in serious trouble. When Elon Musk is out here warning us to brace for temporary hardship, you might want to listen. I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts, and I urge you to do the same. They're the only precious metals company I recommend. Are you going to sit back and hope for the best or take control of your financial future? Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue through 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505. That's DRPHIL to 50505 today. Tonight, we've teamed up with American Values to make America healthy again. Now, before the break, I asked you to take a quiz to determine your healthy IQ. And now it's time to reveal the answers. Also joining us is Dr. Will Cole. He's a leading functional medicine expert who specializes in chronic health issues. So if anyone can help us get back on track, it's him. Dr. Cole, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So the first question, which country ranks #1 for chronic diseases? Let's see how you all responded. Here are the results. I kind of telegraphed this one. You copied off my paper. Romania, 4%, USA, 93%, Bulgaria, 3%. The answer is USA. 6 in 10 Americans have at least one chronic disease. So, Dr. Cole, you're going to have to explain how this could possibly be, because this includes a lot of young people, correct?
Yeah, it does. And 4 out of 10 Americans have 2 or more chronic diseases. The United States, we make about 4% of the world's population, but we are home to 70% of pharmaceutical profits. We spend the most on healthcare, yet we have the shortest lifespan of all industrialized nations. So we have to do something different to see something different, which I'm so glad we're having these conversations. Because as you said earlier in the show, these are largely overcomable, healable, reversible. But it's like Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. Well, more Americans are knowing better and they want better.
When we're talking about chronic diseases, what kind of diseases are we talking about? What are the most common?
Type 2 diabetes is at the top of the list. And then things like heart disease, other cardiometabolic problems, and autoimmune conditions. And then, of course, I can't ignore cancer being on the list of chronic diseases. So these are some of the top ones that we're facing.
Unbelievable. All right, question 2. Most seed oils are extracted with chemicals, urine, boiling water. You said chemicals 77%, urine 6%, boiling water 17%. The answer, chemicals. Hexane is the primary solvent to make seed oil. It has a long list of health hazards. Courtney, is it surprising to you that people race to ingest these things that were basically originally designed to use on machines?
Yeah, I think if people went to YouTube and they watched a video of how these oils are made, they would probably be less inclined to want to consume them because it's pretty horrifying when you see how they're made. They go through a 12-step process. They have to be deodorized. They're chemically deodorized because they're so rancid that they smell so terribly bad. And the solvents like hexane, I mean, it's terrible. It's astounding how we just continue to use these things. All right, 3, which is the most toxic oil? Let's see what you voted. Okay, 31% grapeseed oil, 3% avocado oil, 66% safflower oil. Okay, doctor?
Safflower oil is definitely up there. Grapeseed oil would be probably number 2 on that list. It's not a great oil either. Let me be very clear. These oils are fine in their whole food form, but as we are talking about the processing of these and the overconsumption of these in the form of oils, it's throwing off our polyunsaturated fatty acid ratio. So everybody's heard of omega-3s, right? These healthy omega fats. Well, the modern American diet is high in omega-6 and low in omega-3s, which is contributing to a pro-inflammatory state in the body. Inflammation is really the commonality between just about every health problem under the sun. So we need to decrease these omega-6 industrial seed oils and start increasing whole food rich omega-3s like healthy fatty fish, for example.
All right, so 4, which breakfast food has BHT, which is banned in Europe? Now, this is a synthetic antioxidant commonly used as a preservative in processed foods. So you picked 65% Pop-Tarts. So what's the answer, doctor?
It is actually Frosted Flakes. We have to realize that these things are not meant for human consumption. Now, the counter argument's going to be for somebody that really loves BHT in their food, they're going to say, well, it's a small amount. It's no big deal. It's regulated in the United States. The problem is we are bombarded with so many different additives. It's not just about BHT and the Frosted Flakes. It's the entourage effect. It's the perfect storm of the amount of toxins that we are exposed to over time. So there's no experiment done on that other than when you look at the statistics of chronic disease in the United States, we can see that we are one massive experiment with what happens when we are divorcing ourselves from nature.
So which candy is banned in Europe but not America? Let's see how you voted. You said Skittles, 67%, M&M's 12, Starburst 21. What's the answer, doctor?
Well, Skittles has titanium dioxide in the United States. So it makes the colors brighter, whiter, more appealing. It's just for marketing, specifically to kids. So this is known as a genotoxin, which the EU took a hard stance on it and said this has been shown in studies to damage our DNA, and we should take a cautious perspective on this. But in America, it's profits over people and not looking out for our citizens, least of all our kids, which is candies like this are largely marketed to children.
Yeah, that's getting ready to change. Final question. The FDA finally banned red dye 3, which was made from beaver secretion, petroleum, or bugs. What did you guys answer? Petroleum. Doctor, what's the answer?
That is true. It's petroleum. You have a smart audience, Dr. Phil.
Well, yeah. Right. All right, coming up, don't get fooled by labels. We'll take a closer look at what's really in your food next. The IRS is the largest collection agency with April 15th fast approaching. It's more aggressive than ever. If you owe back taxes or have unfiled returns, waiting's not an option. The smart move is to get ahead of this. Listen, never contact the IRS alone. Let the experts at Tax Network USA handle it for you. Tax Network USA has a preferred direct line to the IRS. Now, whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, Tax Network USA's attorneys and negotiators have already resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. Talk with one of their strategists today. It's free. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Dr. Phil. That's tnusa.com/Dr. Phil. April 15th is just around the corner. Act now. Well, I'm here with Dr. Will Cole, Merit TV's wellness reporter Sonia Azad, and integrative nutritionist Courtney Swan, and it looks like we have a feast in front of us. But these are some common food culprits that seem totally healthy until you read the label. So we seem to have a microwave pizza, a dead chicken, some Parmesan cheese, and some coffee creamer. So let's start with the microwave pizza. Dr. Cole, what's really in this pizza?
Well, back to I would say a good principle here is if it looks like a chemistry experiment, it's probably something you should want to look into. Things like microwave pizza can have things like cheese that is not the best quality. It can have a lot of additives in the dairy to make it more consistent and look better. It's going to have enriched wheat flour, which can be sprayed with things like herbicides and pesticides.
You said that this dough has conditioners like L-cysteine, which can sometimes be made from animal sources like human hair, duck feathers, or pig hair.
You don't like a little hair on your pizza, Dr. Phil?
No, I'm okay with duck feathers, but what the hell are we talking about here? Is that just in microwave pizza or all pizza? What are we talking about? Help me out here.
So this is something that we would consider ultra-processed food, where this is no longer, look at that long ingredient list. This is not food anymore. We're not eating food anymore. There's preservatives in there. And we have to remember too, those preservatives are solely there to make it to where the food can be on the shelf for longer periods of time. It is not with our health in mind. This is for these companies so that they can make more profits.
Yeah, so it lasts a long time.
Exactly.
But don't we want food to spoil?
Yes.
I mean, isn't that a good sign? If food spoils, it's probably a lot healthier.
Yes.
Okay, how about the dead chicken?
Yeah.
What's in, this looks like a chicken. I mean, why would somebody look at that and say, I mean, that looks like chicken.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to read the labels, even on something that looks like a whole food. They will oftentimes use additives to make it last longer or make it look better. So yes, this one has phosphate. These rotisserie chickens should just have the chicken, herbs, and salt. That's it. So that's why it's best to make it yourself. Or if you're going to buy an already made rotisserie chicken, read the labels.
Why would you put a label on a chicken? I mean, if it's just chicken, it would just be a chicken, right?
That's what we think.
Yeah.
I did a video actually about this that went viral on TikTok. And these are, I don't know if I'm allowed to say where I got this from, but it's a major chain grocery store and people love these chickens, but they come with a little label on it and many people are not reading these labels. And when I shared that, people were, for good reason, up in arms about it.
Does Costco advertise with us? Is Costco a big advertiser? No, then it's from Costco.
Perfect.
Right? That's from Costco?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, they need to learn. They need to learn to just rotate a chicken or rotisserie chicken. Now, this processed coffee creamer, I don't drink coffee or creamer, but apparently this has a lot of stuff in it.
Yes.
Too much stuff. I had
Like
to get my
what?
dad off of that stuff.
Really?
Well, there's the ingredients label right there. That we talked about corn syrup a lot with Katie and Randall, and that's one thing that people do not assume is in something like coffee creamer, but in fact, it is.
And it's largely driving the obesity and chronic disease epidemic in this country. This is a fake oil, fat that we should not be consuming. Mono and diglycerides are what companies are now using to replace partially hydrogenated oils because companies were required to remove those from food labels years ago. So now they're replacing them with mono and diglycerides, they have small traces of trans fats in there.
All right, well, after going through this, I'm gonna set up a desk backstage and treat everybody for paranoia. Because we apparently cannot trust anybody that's feeding us anything. Dr. Cole, thank you so much for all your input. Huge.
Thanks, guys.
And thank you for making it so clear.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, next, what makes a maha mom and how you can join the ranks after the break. There's something that has become known as maha moms. And this is a movement that was in full force at RFK Jr.'s confirmation hearing in Washington, D.C. Hundreds of people from all walks of life came to support him. Take a look.
We have a problem in America, the toxins and the lack of nutrition in our food supply.
We see chemicals being sprayed in our air, on our grounds. We look at the ingredients on foods. We're behind every other country.
There are things in the food in the United States that are against the law all around the world. How could that be?
There's 10,000 food additives allowed here in the United States. There's only less than 400, about 338 allowed in Europe.
Food is fundamental. We all have to eat every day. And if we're eating food that's laced with pesticides that kill insects, that can harm humans, if we're eating foods that don't have nutritional value because they're junk foods, they're full of sugar, they're full of starches that are not helpful, it's bad for us. This is an existential issue.
If we don't do something now, we're gonna have an emergency on our hands.
We need truth and transparency in our systems. We can't pursue those things if we're fettered by corporate restraints and unelected bureaucrats that have different interests, different agendas.
I don't think that making America healthy should be political. It's just the right thing to do.
We have dealt with chronic illness for 20 years, and we've seen what eating well can do to change your life. And most people don't understand the chemicals that they're eating every day. They're working so hard for their kids to be healthy, but they're feeding them junk.
Well, some of the original maha moms flew across the country to be with us. Zen Honeycutt is a leader in this movement. You have saved $100,000 over the past decade by changing your son's diet, reducing doctor's appointments, just really getting in the groove of what you think is critical. Tell me about that.
Well, like millions of moms across America, I was struggling with health issues with my kids, allergies, autism symptoms, asthma, autoimmune issues. And you know the saying, a worried mom does better research than the FBI? Well, I took that on, took matters into my own hands, learned about GMOs, glyphosate, pesticides in the food supply, got them out of my children's diets, and they got better. And in the meantime, started Moms Across America. We had over 1,000 events in all 50 states in the first 5 years. Our Moms Across America have been working for 12 years to create healthy communities. And we've raised awareness, particularly about glyphosate, I want to put on your radar. That's in Roundup. And glyphosate, what it does is it reduces the nutrient uptake in the shoot of the plant by 80 to 95%. That means, and that's with only drift exposure. Right. So that means our farmers are growing junk food if even drift level of exposure is allowed. So that's why I'm so happy about Make America Healthy Again movement, because Bobby Kennedy is at the head of the HHS, and I think he's going to go after glyphosate. It needs to be banned, Dr. Phil.
Yes, absolutely. You're walking, talking proof of what I was saying when I said in one generation, we can completely wipe out this chronic disease epidemic that our young children are suffering with at this point.
Yeah, and as somebody mentioned, this is an emergency. We do need to do it right now. Moms Across America tested 42 samples of fast food. We know which ones are the worst and which ones are the best. You can go on our website, momsacrossamerica.org. We tested school lunches, baby formula, Girl Scout cookies, and gluten-free foods. And we're exposing the truth of these toxins that are in the food supply, and we can do something about it. And right now is the time that we need to do something about it. And you mentioned in your book, Dr. Phil, Family First. I read this when my children were little. And in the first chapter of that book, you talk about how your dad wouldn't let you go to the championship hockey game and because of the black ice. And I really took that to heart because I learned that we need to give our children what they need, not what they want. And that's what America needs to do right now. We need to start giving our children what they need, which is nutrient-dense, safe, non-toxic, whole foods. And our government needs to give us what we need, which is regulation on the foods. And they need to stop it. They need to close the grass loophole. They need to get these toxic chemicals out of our food supply. Europe is doing it. They don't use glyphosate as a drying agent, right? And we can do it right here, right now with regenerative, organic food. And our farmers are ingenious. We know they can do it.
Michelle O'Day joined the movement after her daughter was diagnosed with autism. And Michelle, you found this to be really empowering instead of sitting on the sidelines watching. You said, okay, there's something I can do. What was your experience?
When Shaylee first got diagnosed with autism at 18 months, after doing the research for the first 24, 48 hours after the diagnosis, the first thing that came up was the diet. And changing her diet, getting rid of the gluten, getting rid of the casein, getting rid of the soy in her diet. And doing that, it turned the child around. Within a couple of weeks, the stimming stopped, the extreme stimming stopped, the screaming, the eye contact came back. And now at 18 years of age, I have a verbal child that is on the autism spectrum. And I truly believe it is from changing the diet and taking all of that out that has helped her.
I am so glad that you guys are here because instead of just being passive and being told by Big Pharma and others, here's the deal, this is what you need to do, this medication, that medication, by saying, no, look, I'm going to be an active parent. Parent is a noun and parent is a verb. And I'm going to get into that verb part and I'm going to start looking and seeing what I can do to really impact what my child's environment is, what they're ingesting, everything that they're being impacted with in the air, in the water, in their food. I can make a difference here, and God bless you for doing it. I mean, seriously, what a powerful thing. All right, coming up, the driving force behind the MAHA movement after the break. My guest now is Candace McDonald. She is the CEO of American Values, a coalition leading the charge to make America healthy again. We've been having a really lively discussion here. Isn't it encouraging that people are really so interested in this subject matter, in this topic?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's really important, I think, for most Americans to understand where this movement came from and how it started. It initially was started by mothers and families of children with autism and vaccine injury over 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
And these mother warriors, as they're often called, which are now called MAHA warriors, were fearless. And they continued to ask difficult questions of what was happening to their child. And at that point in time, no one was listening to them. The only person who listened to them after many phone calls and emails was Bobby Kennedy. And he became the voice that we hear today for Make America Healthy Again. But it's truly the women and the families of these children that were injured, that are chronically ill today still, that are driving this movement forward.
I think as more and more people get the information, it's just a matter of knowledge is power. And we can see a groundswell in this country that can turn this epidemic. And this isn't a coming crisis. This is a right now emergency. We have a generation of kids and certainly adults, but our kids are victimized by it. This can change right now. We can quell this emergency right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, this is a non-political issue, right? As we were discussing, this is a health crisis in our country today.
Yeah, I've said so many times, look, there aren't any Democratic children. There aren't any Republican children. There are just American children. We owe them a chance to be healthy. Absolutely. This isn't about politics. I mean, Bobby Kennedy has been a Democrat all of his life.
Right.
And he made a switch here. He's looking for a track to run on to change America. Yeah. That's what he's looking for. This isn't about politics for him.
It's about truth and transparency and listening to these moms who have all of these stories that really can help another mother in a situation. And with that, one empowered mother empowers the rest of the family unit and other moms. And that's how we can truly change this childhood epidemic that we're facing right now and for future generations.
Yeah, and I have a pivotal question for Candace that you're not going to want to miss the answer to. We'll be right back. Tonight, we've been talking about how to make America healthy again. And, you know, that just kind of rolls off the tongue, but it's not a bumper sticker. I mean, think about it. Make America healthy again. And the reason that it is so true is because America has been so much healthier than it is today. You go back to the 60s, 70s, and 80s and look at the frequency of autism, the frequency of some of these chronic diseases that our children and even parents suffer from today, and they just didn't exist. It was fractions of what we're seeing now. And you have to look and say, well, what happened? Well, what happened is we started having huge corporations that started making foods and medications for mass distribution, and health started going down. And we can change that. The question I said that people are going to want to hear is, what do you say to the naysayers? What do you say to people that think, oh, this is just politics, this is just, you know, a crazy Kennedy out doing this or that, or it is just militaristic moms trying to raise a bunch of soldier kids? What do you say to the naysayers to this?
We're a team. We're Americans, and we're sitting in the middle of a health crisis. And because this is non-political, we have to join together. If we don't, then there won't be a future healthy America for our children's children.
And if you look at any projections, and it doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat scientist or a Republican scientist, as long as it is an independent scientist that doesn't have their research funded by a huge corporation, if it is a truly independent scientist, the projections on obesity, type 2 diabetes, and some of the other chronic diseases that go along with it, if we stay on the current course, by 2030, 2040, it's so bad now, it's going to be virtually everyone by then if we don't change this right now. The obesity is going to be so high, the type 2 diabetes, the respiratory illnesses, all of those things are going to overtake this country to the point that we're going to become physically dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm. And our systems can't handle that type of illness.
Yeah, I mean, so many of our insurance dollars now are going to manage chronic illness, not acute illnesses, but chronic illnesses, and so often with young people. Right. But we can change it.
We absolutely can. And our system has been set up as a sick care system, right? Not a preventative or actual health and well-being system.
What do you think is the number one priority right now?
I think it's for the everyday American to be curious and get educated. Choose a topic, something, whether it's food or if it's vaccines or if it's the water or if it's chemicals. Find something that interests you and start your own investigation.
And, you know, the whole thing is that American values is about driving that agenda and getting people to start getting educated and be critical thinkers and make up their own minds for their own families.
Exactly, because once you start to ask the difficult questions, you can then have the uncomfortable conversations. And that's where people tend to learn quite a bit.
Yeah, and if everybody here just starts thinking about that, then it's just a matter of, if you start to ask the questions and you really demand answers, then things begin to change. But if we just continue being sheep and eat what we're fed, both information-wise and food-wise and medication-wise, it's just never going to happen. We are responsible for us and for our families.
And for our own health. Right?
Yeah. And you think there are 5 things that people need to do to start getting healthier right away.
Right.
And you think the first one is what?
I think a basic, easy one is to read labels, the ingredients, try to say it out loud. We heard this from Dr. Cole and from Courtney before. If you can't say it, then should you really be eating it? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
You can say chicken, you can say apple, but you can't say hydrogenated blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
then it's probably a good idea to leave it alone.
Yeah.
All right, what else?
I think another really easy one is choose one healthy swap a week that you can trade out during the week with your family. Another easy one is to, especially for all the moms out there, swap the sports drinks for coconut water.
Okay.
Lower sugar intake.
All right, coconut water, good.
Yes. And then I would say find a mom with a child with autism or chronic illness and have a conversation with them. Learn from them.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the power of the Mother Warriors and the MAHA movement. They are informed, intelligent individuals who don't want others to go through this.
Right, right. And you think it's important to join the MAHA movement, become active in it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and how do they do that?
They can go to avpac.us or follow us on any of our social platforms at American Values.
Okay, and we're going to put links to all of that up on all of my platforms.
Thank you so much.
All right, fair enough. Thank you so much. I want to thank Katie and Randall. Thank you guys for letting us into your home and sharing your story. And a very special thank you to Sonia and Courtney, and certainly Dr. Cole, and of course, Candace. This is the start of a year-long relationship with American Values. And if you go to avpac.us to join this very important movement, you can really gain a lot of information as well as lean into it and give them your support. Thank you. We'll see you next time.